Gigi backed up into the ropes. Tony Storm, the hammer throw. And, went for the kitchen sink. Gigi Rey avoided.
Whoa, nice duck by Tony Storm. Watch the German here.
What's up, everybody? Trevor Robb here with the Edmonton Journal and the Edmonton Sun, and I am joined here today with Gigi Rey, an up-and-coming independent pro wrestler from the Edmonton area who just made her singles debut on All Elite Wrestling. Gigi, thank you so much for joining with me today.
Thank you so much for having me, Trevor. I'm happy to be here.
So take me through your life growing up in Edmonton, because as I understand it, obviously you are from Millwoods and Millwoods proud.
That's right. Millwoods represent. I'm so excited to be from there. So I grew up in Edmonton, right in Millwoods. I went to school all throughout, like kindergarten all the way to high school in Millwoods, and I love the city. I love Edmonton. I'm so proud to be from there. And so if I could get a chance to represent Edmonton and Millwoods on a worldwide stage, I was going to do it. So I did, and I was really happy I did.
Which school did you go to for high school?
I went to Holy Trinity Catholic High School. So like literally right just off Millwoods Road, beside the rec center.
And were you athletically inclined? Did you play sports growing up?
Yeah, I played sports all throughout high school. I played basketball mostly, volleyball, soccer, track. Grade 10, I was high school athlete of the year. Same with grade 12. I've always been quite athletic, and I played college basketball too. I ended up playing 2 years at Nate after high school. And then after basketball ended, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I still always wanted to do something athletic, and I was always a fan of wrestling. So it kind of took me a while to get onto the wrestling train. And then finally, when I did, things have kind of just been skyrocketed ever since. And it's been really cool.
So yeah, you did join the wrestling train not too long ago, October 2019, I guess. So how did that adventure for you start? How did you get into wrestling? And how did, I guess, Edmonton help you early on in your career?
I was always a fan of wrestling ever since growing up. I think some of my earliest memories from when I was a kid was just like sitting down watching wrestling with like my brothers and my dad and my mom. And so I was always just a fan of it. I think when I got into playing a lot of like sports and I got really busy, especially with college basketball, like basketball when I played was like my life. Like I didn't do anything else other than go to school and play basketball. So I kind of fell out of watching wrestling. And then probably around like 2015, I got into watching it again and just kind of fell in love with it all over again, just the entertainment of it all, the spectacle of it all. And then I think by 2019, I just really wanted to give it a try. I just felt like it was something like, I think I could do this. And so I found like a mini camp that was running, because I knew there was like the Edmonton local wrestling scene. And so I found a mini camp through Facebook and decided to go to that and did my first mini camp where they kind of teach you like the basics in wrestling, like how to bump, how to fall, stuff like that. And I just took to it really well, and I give my trainer, Michael Richard Blaze, so much credit because he's done so much stuff on the Edmonton wrestling scene, Canada wrestling scene, and all over the States, UK, stuff like that. And he really saw a lot in me, like the potential that I had, and really pushed me to keep training and keep going. And yeah, so then once I started doing that, I just know I wanted to do more of it and on a bigger scale. So that's why I moved down to the States to kind of see what I could do down here.
Yeah, Michael's a bit of a local legend here in Edmonton, actually. So before you made the move to Texas, though, which is where you are right now, how did you get your first start, I guess, in Edmonton? You wrestled for some PWA shows, did you not?
Yes, I did. Yeah, so I was training with Michael and a lot of other people on the Edmonton wrestling scene. We were training at a place called Force Pro Wrestling. And he was part of PWA, and most of the people I was training with were part of PWA. And so I started training in October, and I was kind of going like, 3-4 times a week, trying to just, learn how to wrestle. And then by January, a match was coming up, and they felt like I was ready to wrestle in a match. And I don't know, I didn't feel like I was really ready yet, but they felt like I was ready, and they needed someone. So I was like, hey, sure, if you guys think I'm ready to wrestle, I will go in there and wrestle. And so I had my first match in January, wrestled again in February, in March. And then COVID happened, so everything was closed. So that was kind of like the end of my Edmonton, Calgary wrestling experience. But then, but everything in the States had started to open up, and I really wanted to take a chance on myself to see what I could do on a bigger wrestling scene. So yeah, that's how I ended up in the States.
So, I mean, that's incredible, though. You finally get your first match in January, and then, like, without it, of course, without having any idea that what's about to come. 3 months later, COVID kind of hits and the whole world shuts down. So, going back to that first match, though, what do you remember of that? And was there anything that really kind of surprised you for the first time you got in there?
Oh, I was so nervous, like just to be out there in front of a crowd and especially because I was still so new to wrestling, so I didn't really have a lot of confidence in myself. Like I didn't really have a character yet. Yeah, it was a weird experience. Once you're in there and kind of rolling around and moving, it's easy to kind of forget that like so many people are there watching you. You kind of just focus on like what you're doing in the match. But I just remember how nervous I was, and I'm so thankful. Like I wrestled Zoe Sager, and she's a phenomenal. She is such a great wrestler. If anyone in like the Edmonton, Calgary area gets a chance to go see her wrestle, go watch her. Like she is an absolute star. So I feel so thankful that I got to have my first match with her. And yeah, so it was so fun. I'm so thankful for that opportunity. It was great, but yeah, I was so nervous.
And of course, you only get those first really couple of matches before COVID happens, and then you make the decision to go down to Texas. You move down there, and you're training with Booker T, are you not?
Yes, yeah. So I moved to Texas mostly because I wanted to train at Reality of Wrestling, which is Booker T's school and his promotion. They have a YouTube show, Reality of Wrestling, that they produce, and with like new episodes every week that come out. And I felt like when I watched their show online, I felt like I could be there. Like I could wrestle on this show. And so that was my goal, was to get onto Reality of Wrestling. So I decided to enroll in their school, train with them down there. And I think within a couple of months, I did my first Reality of Wrestling show. I've been on there a couple times now, and we have a couple things coming up in the next couple of weeks here. So I'm really looking forward to always being a part of Reality of Wrestling and being part of like the Rowe family. And yeah, it's been really awesome. Booker's amazing. All the trainers that he has down there are also amazing too. I've learned so much from all of them, and it's been really phenomenal and really great for like my wrestling career.
I mean, Booker T, for those who don't know, and if you're watching this and you don't know who Booker T is, I'm questioning why you're here, but he is a very famous, very accomplished wrestler. So, I mean, before you moved down there, I mean, you were talking about only having really 3 months of real in-ring experience, and then you go down there. So what were those first interactions with him like, and what sort of advice did you pick up on him right away?
Advice that I picked up on right away was definitely, if you have a moment to like be in the ring and to shine, make the most of that moment. It's not necessarily about all like the moves that you do in the ring. It's about like your ring presence and what you can do to engage other people in the audience. It's not just about you two people wrestling in the ring. It's a whole show. It's a whole production. It's like theater, right? So to engage people and to move your body in a way that like makes you stand out. So that was a big thing I learned. Obviously, like, basic stuff like your footwork and ring placement and timing and stuff like that. So there's always like those fundamentals that you need to like retweak, and your fundamentals are so important in wrestling. If your footwork is bad, everything's going to be bad. So I'm just really honing in on like those basic skills and allowing everything to follow after that.
Well, I mean, it obviously worked, because come December 15th, 2021, you end up making your AEW, which is All Elite Wrestling, Dark Elevation debut in a 6-person tag match, which is with some pretty high-profile wrestlers there from AEW. Nyla Rose, a former AEW Women's Champion. So that was your first really introduction into AEW. You're part of this 6-person match. How did that come together, and what was that experience like?
Oh, it was awesome. And for that experience, I actually have to, another mentor of mine who has been really, really helpful in my wrestling career down here is Thunder Rosa, who is the AEW Women's Champion right now. So when I moved to Texas, I already started training at Reality of Wrestling, but then Thunder Rosa also has her own promotion called Mission Pro. And she was in the Houston area running a show, and they had a small, like a seminar that they were running. And so as a wrestler, and especially when you're still training, like you need to go wherever you need to go to try to get the training that you want. And so I'm like, well, Thunder Rosa's here running a seminar. I'm going to go to her seminar and see of course I'm going to learn something from Thunder Rosa. Like, she's Thunder Rosa. So I went to her seminar, and then I was able to, through the seminar, they picked 2 people from the seminar to wrestle on the show later on that night. And myself and another girl, Lady Bird Monroe, were chosen from the seminar to wrestle. So from that point, I was on the Mission Pro show, and then kept in contact with Thunder Rosa. And she was really the one at AEW who gave them my name to be like, hey, like, this is a girl that I know who can wrestle. Let's try to get her on Dark. And so then she was the one who got me onto Dark. So I really, really appreciate her giving me that foot in the door into AEW. So that's how I got my first AEW opportunity. And yeah, but then to be in the ring with Nyla Rose and the Bunny and Emi Sakura, like, that was so cool. And then in that match as well, Lady Bird was also in that match with me on my team, which was so great because her and I are really good friends, and to be able to share that moment, our first AEW match together, was really, really awesome.
Yeah, and that's got to be cool looking back now, because obviously that's in December. Thunder Rosa has since been crowned the new AEW Women's Champion. So, I mean, you couldn't have picked a better seminar to go to.
No, I couldn't. Yeah, it was awesome. So yeah, now I'm part of like the Mission Pro roster. So I've wrestled a couple shows with them, and they do a lot of really great stuff. Their shows are awesome. If anyone gets a chance to watch them online, they're always a really good show to watch.
And that kind of leads us to what happened here this last week here. April 15th, there's the AEW Dark taping. And this is, I believe, for Battle of the Belts, was it not?
Yes, it was Rampage, which they did live, and then Battle of the Belts. They also recorded taped that night too, and then the Dark tape.
So, I mean, you talked about how one of Booker's lessons was about having a presence and kind of making yourself stand out. And one of the reasons why we're talking here today is because before that match happens, you throw up, a bit of a sign to the camera, Millwoods, let's go, baby. And I don't know, like, that really popped the Edmonton wrestling crowd, right? And that's how I kind of came across it. And what was the inspiration behind that? Did you know you were going to do that heading into the match? What was sort of the inspiration there?
Yeah, I kind of knew I was going to do it. I thought back to my first match at AEW where it was the 3 of us. And, at the start of the match, they introduced you to the crowd. You get the little graphic at the bottom that says your name and stuff. But when there was the 3 of us, you don't really have that much time to shine or to do anything. Mm-hmm. And so I knew going into this one where I knew I was going to have a singles match, it was just going to be me, that I had to do something that was going to make me stand out. I know I don't really have a pose or anything that I do normally.
You do now.
I was just trying to think of something that I could do that could make me stand out, that gives me that moment. And of course, people, probably the bigger audience, isn't going to know what the MW Millwoods means, but everyone at home is going to know what that means. So I was I can quickly throw that up. It's easy to see, it makes sense, and just kind of go from there. And I was really happy that I did it. And I have to thank my friend from home, Thaddeus Archer. He actually retweeted it with the hashtag YEG, which I forgot to do. Yeah. So that kind of got more of the Edmonton community to see it. So big shout out to Thaddeus for doing that. I appreciate him. But yeah, I was really, really happy I did it. Anytime I wrestle anywhere, I always get them to bill me or to announce me from Millwoods, Alberta, Canada. So yeah, I wanted to show a little love back to Millwoods.
Thaddeus, that's definitely how I came across it too. Yeah,
yes.
We're Twitter friends, and it's funny because a professional wrestler. I mean, Thunder Rosa, I believe, comes from the graveyards of Tijuana, Mexico. So for you to be from Millwood specifically, not Edmonton, that's a nice little touch. I love that. As someone who's literally recording this interview in the heart of Millwoods right now, that's pretty cool. But that match was against Toni Storm, somebody who was recently on WWE television, is featured pretty prominently right now in AEW television. I watched that match over again. You were able to get a lot of offense in there, a couple of really nice moves there to really shine, a couple stiff shots there that you gave Toni. What was it like working in the ring with her?
It was phenomenal. She's such a pro, and I mean, for someone as high caliber as Toni Storm, who, like you said, was just recently in WWE, has wrestled all over the world, just recently signed with AEW, so she has so much momentum coming into AEW, and that was her second match, and I got to be her second opponent at AEW, and it was just such a great opportunity. She was so great to work with. We had a couple stiff shots back and forth, but I felt it was a good match, and it was a good fight. And it was entertaining, and that's what you want to do. You want to entertain the audience. And The great thing about AEW is that they've given such a great platform and showcase for us independent wrestlers who aren't signed to a major TV company to come out there, show a little bit of what we can do, but then still highlight their signed talent and make them look like stars.
Yeah.
And I felt like we were able to do that, Tony and I. And so I'm just so thankful for the opportunity to do that. That's such a huge match and opportunity for anyone to go up against like Tony Storm. So I was really thankful and very grateful that I got the opportunity to do that.
I mean, for those who don't know, AEW Dark is aired on YouTube, and it's not like a little YouTube show. That video, as it stands right now, has over 300,000 views. So is it safe to say? I know you showed up on Raw, Monday Night Raw, for a very brief appearance as an extra, but is it safe to say that as Gigi Rey, this was your largest kind of audience and really your most exposure for fans? Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. My phone's been like crazy. I had to like put it on silent for all the last couple days just because it's always buzzing going off. But
not a bad problem to have, I guess. So
yeah.
I guess the last question is you talked about growing up watching wrestling, being a fan. Obviously, that would have been WWE. Like any of us growing up as kids, that was it. Maybe some WCW if you were into that as well too. So. But nowadays, we have All Elite Wrestling, and by we, I mean, the royal we, the wrestling community. There is AEW Wrestling. There is Impact Wrestling. Ring of Honor is now under the AEW umbrella. For you, yourself, moving forward, do you see yourself working with AEW more, maybe spreading yourself around a little bit? What are your goals?
I would love to work with AEW again. The 3 times I've been there. There's another time I did some dark stuff, but I didn't get a match that time. That's okay. The times that I have been at AEW, everyone there in the back has just been so welcoming, so easy to be around. But like I just love wrestling so much. So like I would work for any company, anywhere, anyone that would give me the opportunity to wrestle and to shine and to show the world what I could do to represent Millwoods, to be a Canadian wrestler on the big world scale is my goal. So I want to be able to do that wherever I can. If that's in AEW, if that's WWE, Impact, over in Japan, I would love to go wrestle in Japan, in the UK. I just want to wrestle, and I just want to share my wrestling with everyone. So.
Well, that's fantastic. I look forward to seeing you more in the future here, Gigi, and I appreciate you taking time to chat with me today. I know it's been, like you said, a busy week.
Yeah, a little bit, but no, thank you. I really appreciate it. I always love to chat with people from back at home, so it means a lot to talk to someone from Edmonton, from Millwoods, and to let people know that, hey, you can be from Millwoods and go out and do stuff, so...
Well, enjoy the Texas weather. It certainly doesn't look like that here right now. So.
Oh yeah, the weather here is very nice.
I bet. Once again, thanks for taking time.
Thank you.